What were some of the things that you would look back and say, oh, I was pretty naive here. Maybe I didn't give this enough thought, or I didn't think this part through. What were some of the big painful moments now after going through that experience that you might share with somebody thinking about starting a team?
Yeah, for sure. I think, I wrote a few different things down. The one big thing that I noticed more than anything is I expected the members of my team, although they were their own individual agent that were going through this year of training that would eventually go on their own. I had the expectation that they had the same drive that I did, and they cared about this as much as I did. And I started to realize very, very quickly that not everybody did, and that's okay. That's fine. But when I'm pouring my heart into certain trainings, it's certain ways how to go in and make a career out of selling homes here in the state of Michigan, I kind of have the expectation that you care about this too. And when you don't, now it comes across as if in a lot of ways, and I say this, respectfully, comes across as if I'm wasting my time in a lot of ways.
Sure.
And if I were to go back and change anything, I think, and I'm actually in the process of doing this right now, but kind of restructuring the team to revolve around individual tasks that exist within the real estate transaction, and not necessarily just creating a high functioning, high quality real estate agent to go out there and do $10 million a year on their own. Because that was the other thing too. I was realizing more and more as what I was doing was working, and I was creating a ton of competition in the market of really good real estate agents, which, hey, it's all good. I love them and I'm still friends with them, but dang, man, we've had two $7 million producers come through our team, and two other $5 million producers just in the last 3 years. So 2 years. So yeah, that was the other piece that if I were to go back and look at, I'd kind of just shake myself a little bit and go, hey dude, do you know what you're doing?
Right. So lots to talk about there. So there's two schools of thought where it comes to like building teams, right? There's one that suggests, hey, I can go build essentially a hybrid brokerage, right? I'm going to build a business. The idea, the fantasy, we'll call it, and people do it. I'm not taking this away. People do it, but there's a lot of pain that comes with it. And that is going to build a team of these real estate agents who sell real estate so that one day I won't have to sell real estate and I can go make a bunch of money off of other people. But in doing so, what ends up happening most of the time is these team leaders, as you've experienced, just end up training their competition, because these agents, once you give them the keys to the kingdom and they start becoming successful, they say, well, wait a minute, Rory, why wouldn't I just go do this on my own? And so that's that side. And that's kind of what you experience, right?
100%. And to go along with what it is you're saying too, like the pain that exists behind it is not just a financial pain. Reality is when you're doing business, you get friends. There are people that become true, real, good friends in the midst of this. And when they leave and they choose to go on their own, it's not necessarily that you're losing your top producer, you're losing your friend. And so that was the thing that was super, in a lot of ways heart-wrenching, in a lot of ways for me.
And I think that when I coach a real estate agent who says, I want to build that model out, although we're going to talk about the other model that I think both you and I subscribe more to. If somebody wants to build that first model, I say, okay, let's build in the model your churn. Let's not be naive and think Bob and Tom and Sue are going to be with you for the next 25 years. Let's build in a churn where we know they're going to be gone within 20 months. And so let's just build that into the model. And so that's probably the hardest part about any new leader that is going to open a brokerage firm or that's going to open up a team or anything like that is it's just that they don't think about the turnover. They don't want to put that on the business plan, right? And so that's one side. The other side is to build what we call a production-based model. And this is what I have also learned in my own experience is that as real estate agents, we can build a model similar to that of, let's call it an attorney or a doctor, where it's built around our personal production and the team members that are surrounding us to your point earlier, are focused on taking as much off of our plate as possible so that we can just focus on surgery. And in our world, it's the highest dollar producing activities, whether that be voice to voice conversations or in person interactions. And so that's the model that you've now shifted to. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. So, going back to your question before, and this is kind of playing into what is you're saying now, if there's anything that I would have done differently when it came to the idea of starting a team, I would not have hired a buyer's agent first, or hired or brought on somebody to be an additional agent that's listing homes or taking out
Sales. You
purchasers.
would not have hired a salesperson first. Yep.
100%, nothing to do with that, but strictly just bringing on somebody who's an administrative, doing the tasks that are necessary and are difficult in a lot of ways because of the time that they take, but bringing on an administrative person to take care of those tasks, which I've since shifted over to, now bringing somebody on to do that. My wife actually got licensed, and she's our admin here at MacDon. So yeah, that's taking steps in the right direction in a lot of ways, and it's increased business already. We've only had her on for, I think it's about 4 months now. So yeah,
That's great. Well, the idea, so the idea for the audience that will listen or watch this replay, the idea is we've got all these different tasks, right? And the reality is most real estate agents are spending most of their time on things that don't drive revenue. So the whole goal with the model that you and I are talking about is to surround yourself with administrative type people. We can call them nurses, nurse practitioners, right? That can take as many of those non-dollar productive activities off the plate so that the rainmaker or the team leader can just do the things that drive revenue. This is how we see real estate agents really start to build wealth, to really drive their income, because they can say, if they're going to work, call it 50 hours a week, as you know, instead of spending 10 hours in revenue generating activities, maybe they can spend 25 hours a week. And with your skills, that's probably what you're experiencing in that increase in production. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. That's for me, it's getting in front of people and being face to face, particularly with people who are listing homes, is where I spend most of my time, or tried to spend most of my time. And so being able to open up my schedule in a lot of ways to dedicate to that has been pretty monumental. Pretty monumental in our business in the last couple of months, for sure. Yeah.
So let's break down the business today. All right. So let's just start at the top. Let's kind of unpack maybe what are the major lead pillars that are generating the most business for you guys.
Yeah. So right now, it's past clients is number one. 100%. We've dedicated a lot of time just to following up with past clients, having conversations around them, not just their own individual home, but asking for referrals too. That's another thing that I think a lot of agents get scared of, is they don't ask for the referral. And so definitely past clients has been number one. Number two has been for sale by owners. We dedicate a lot of time to for sale by owners, and even in the crazy market that we were in during COVID, we converted and really began a lot of really awesome relationships with some people who were just trying to save money when it came to selling their house, and help them out in that way. We've touched on expireds a little bit. We kind of struggled with those, not having the greatest of luck with them, but they are still one of our main pillars. And then the fourth one is social media. So Facebook and Instagram primarily, but dedicating a lot of time to putting out consistent and quality content that people can use, regardless of whether or not they choose to work with us. So
Love it.
sometimes there's this idea that I need to hold on to this information. If you want it, come and get it, but you got to sign up an exclusive right to sell or a buyer agency contract. No. I listen, here's the information. I'm free. I'm open. Come and talk to me. You're welcome to come have a conversation and work with us. But yeah, those are the three, to answer your question. Those are the three main or four main areas where we're finding the most business.
Got it. So what does the team look like these days? Like, I know you've gone through some restructuring. What does that look like today?
So right now we have, like I said, we have my wife who's here as the admin. And then we have two other people who are on the team. Lily Mezek, who is kind of a buyer's agent. She still calls on new listings and things like that. And then the other person is Ty Walker, who is buyer's agent, but primarily what he's focusing on is inside sales agent. So calling and setting additional appointments for me to go on listings, so that we can just add more listings to the database and open up the possibility of additional clients, both on the buy side and on the sell side with those.
Yeah, I mean that what you just outlined is a really really good team from the standpoint of once they are all optimized. It sounds like you've got somebody focused on the buyer side of the business, so that when we generate that, we've got someone to delegate that to. You've got your wife who can handle the operations of the team, and then you've got somebody that's helping you on the lead generation side with this small kind of team with a narrow focus. What is the goal next year production wise?
Yeah, so the goal, well, currently, just to give you an idea of where we're at right now, just with the restructuring and kind of nailing down the systems that needed to exist within the team, we did, I think it was about 15 million last year in 2021, and so far this year we're sitting at about 13 million as a team, and so not a ton of dips in that sense, but we did lose agents, and so I would call it a wash in the sense of like commissionable dollars coming in that sense, and number of people that we've assisted. So going into 2023, which is crazy to say, we're coming up on 2023.
Yeah.
We're shooting for doing about 25 million is what we're ideally, that's the number we'd love to go after, which based off of our numbers would be assisting in the ballpark of about 100 to 115 people when it comes to buying and selling a home.
Love it. I love it. And going back to what you said, your production from 2021 to 2022, maybe you end up at the same, but that 15 million under this model is a lot more profitable than the model before, I'd have to imagine.
It definitely is. And honestly, man, the thing that I'm feeling more than anything is I feel like when you plug people into a role that they're able to go in and chip away at, and they enjoy it. It's almost more rewarding in a sense too. Like you're seeing people able to accomplish something because they actually are excited about it. They're not just coming in here and feeling like they have to learn something in order to exist within this team or grow as a real estate agent. They're going in, they have a specific job to do. And for those who quite honestly would rather have the 9 to 5, but be a part of something other than a teacher or whatever it might be, I've noticed that it's more rewarding for those individuals on the team too.
Yeah, for sure. And, obviously you and I are in the same market, and the market is shifting more depending on what market you're in. When you look ahead, or even right now, what are you finding to be the biggest challenges with this market right now?
Besides the interest rates, the biggest thing, the biggest thing right now with it seems like we've been in a market that has had so few sellers and so many purchasers that it's created this mass. I'm willing to pay anything for it. Right, the supply is super low. Naturally, the demand is super high. And so what I'm noticing is the number of, specifically right now with it being December, the winter months, we have a tendency to see less people come on the market trying to sell their home. And I think that that's even grown higher because people are looking at the interest rates and going, why would I do that? I just refinanced. I'm at a 2.3% interest rate on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Why would I move right now? And so it's naturally creating an even bigger dip in the number of sellers that are coming on the market. But the buyers have, for the most part, maintained. But I'm seeing it a little bit more just specifically right now in this quarter of buyers going, I'm going to wait till the spring. I'm going to hold off. I'm going to wait till the spring, which although that might be good because the house that you're looking for might come on, the negative is in that sense is you might not actually get the value that you're looking for because there's so many people who are waiting at that point. And we don't know what's going to happen with the interest rates. They could go back up. They could come back down. It's just you have no idea. But to sum that up in the best way possible, it's the supply is remaining so incredibly low that it's difficult. It's it's difficult, and then the rates go up.
Yeah.
It's a rough, but it's not one that it's not an excuse either. That's the other thing for any agent out there. It's really easy to say, well, the rates stink, so I'm going to go home, climb in my bed, and just wait for them to come back down. That's you can't do that. You just got to be ready. You got to be out there. You got to be having conversations with people because people still need to sell and buy homes.
Yeah, and that's such a great point. I mean, I always give the point of comparison to what we're dealing with right now to the worst market we've ever seen in 2008. And it's funny. I just had Jeff Glover on the podcast, and we talked about Detroit market in '08. When Detroit filed bankruptcy, and in that year, we still, the country still did 4.5 million sides. There were still 9 million commission checks handed out in the worst real estate market we've ever seen ever. And so to your point, there are people that will continuously buy and sell real estate regardless of rates, regardless of the market. It's just how bad do you want it? So that's a good segue into, I guess, Rory, you probably come across a lot of new real estate agents wanting to get into the business or recently have gotten into the business. With what you know now and all of the hats you've worn and the experiences you've gone through and the battle wounds, what advice are you giving new real estate agents right now that are coming to you for mentorship?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I would take advice from the person who's giving their advice when they started their career, not from where they're at right now. So often I come across agents who are, I just talked to one the other day and I said, hey, the first thing that you should do, regardless of where it is that you end up, whether it's under me or under some other agency, I would highly suggest that you really hone on your skills talking on the phone specifically. And if I were you, I would focus on for sale by owners. And on the contrary, they're having other agents tell them, no, don't focus on that. What you need to do is really develop your referral sources. Well, for sale by owners, a referral source. So it's honing your skills is I think the biggest thing that you can possibly do coming into the real estate market. Kind of as green as you are as a new agent is hone your skills, have a conversation, having conversations with people revolving around what you know, and so learn as much as you can. Would be the biggest advice that I could give to somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I agree because the thing that probably people like to debate the most in our industry is like lead generation. Like, oh, social media works better than cold calling for sale by owners and all this type of debate. But what isn't debatable is once that agent does get to a listing appointment, it's going to come down to their skills, whether or not the person signs the contract. Who cares? Yep. Who cares how they got to the listing appointment? Why does that matter? What matters is that they get to those as often as possible. What does matter, to your point, I think you hit the nail on the head, is does that agent have a skill set that is so compelling that causes sellers to sign a contract? And that is the thing that will determine an agent's success or failure. So, dude, I appreciate you very much. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the group in 2023 and beyond. I think that you have the right model. You certainly have the right mindset, certainly have the right work ethic. And so any last maybe nuggets you may want to leave with the audience before I let you go?
Yeah, for sure. So when I first got started, there's a story in the Bible of the tribe of Israel's out, and this is actually what kind of started everything for me, just in terms of mindset and what it is that I was going after. Tribe of Israel, they had no water for a super long time, and God comes to them and says, "Hey, I want you to start digging ditches." And everybody kind of looked at each other like, "Why are we digging? Why are we going to dig ditches? It hasn't rained. What are we digging ditches for?" And it was only a small number of people that went out and actually started digging. And when God finally brought the rain, they had the water. And so, if there's any encouragement or anything that I would say to you guys is, a lot of times when you've got a shovel in your hand and you're digging holes, you don't see the water yet, but the reality is it's designed to catch it. And so, for those of you who are being discouraged right now in today's market, for those of you who are having a difficult time going out and failing on listing appointments or failing on the phone with having conversations with people, prospecting, continue doing it. Continue digging that ditch, because as soon as the rain starts to come, now you have a ditch full of water, which is what it is that you want. So, if anything, keep digging ditches, people.
I love it. Great advice. Rory, thank you so much. Best of luck in 2023, and I'm sure we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandon. I appreciate
Take
you.
care.